Now, Global Citizen Africa's hashtag Raise the Grade campaign has been launched on World Book Day. The objectives of this initiative are closely aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals to help girls and boys from disadvantaged communities. I'm joined in studio by Chibet Chikumbu, the Africa Director for Global Citizen, and Michelle Nkamangeng, a child author and ambassador. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hello, Michelle. You're really the youngest person I've ever had on this seat. Hi.
Hello.
Chibet, it's a fantastic initiative. It really sounds inspirational. Raise the Grade campaign. How did this come about, and what really does it entail?
So Raise the Grade campaign is our 2019 focus off the back of the incredible success we saw at the Mandela 100 Festival. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or if you actually attended it. But what we're wanting to do and aiming to do through this campaign is galvanize South Africans and build a movement of engaged citizens who are really dedicated to seeing improvements in educational outcomes and calling on governments and calling on corporates alike to move the dial on quality education for our nation's most vulnerable.
Now, Michelle, you're an ambassador, you're an author. You wrote your first book at 6 years old. That's incredible. How did this idea come up? How did you come up with it?
Well, when I went to one of my local bookstores, I realized that all the children's books there were written by adults. So I was like, why can't children write their own stories and experiences? They can just take all those experiences they never want to forget and just put it in a book to share it with the world.
Wow. And what were the books that you wrote?
My first book is titled Waiting for the Waves. My second book is titled The Little Girl Who Believes in Herself. And my recent book, my third book, is The Little Mouse.
Wow, that's incredible. It really is inspirational. Now, tell us about The Little Mouse. What is the book about?
It's about a boy named Tom who has a playhouse and he never knows that a mouse lives in his playhouse. Then he also has a cat named Luika. And things happen.
Things happen, so people should just get the book. We'll talk about how to access this book. Now, coming back to you, Chibet, this initiative, as you mentioned, is one really to inspire, but just really zooming into the educational sector in South Africa as things stand. We know that early childhood development is a huge focal area that government wants to prioritize and look into. And also, you know, reading for understanding. Yeah. We found that there's a huge gap where children are reading but not really grasping what they're learning. How does this campaign of yours help in that sector?
You're absolutely right about the focus and the relevance of the campaign within the context of what the government is doing. As an advocacy organization, we're really here to amplify the efforts of governments and corporates in the various issue areas. And particularly when we look through the lens of education and the basic education sector specifically, what is extremely alarming is a recent statistic that was revealed that 78% of grade 4 learners are unable to read for meaning. Mm-hmm. And what that translates to is further down the line, of 100 children or people that are entering the South African schooling system, only 60 of them or so are able to progress to matric. Mm-hmm. Of the 60, about 12 of them are able to get into university and pursue tertiary the further studies. And of the 12, only 4 actually pass and graduate within a 6-year period. This outcome, the weak performances that we're seeing, actually trickle down. And if we look back as to where the root cause is, it stems back to weak foundational outcomes and just not getting it right at that basic level. We know that education is a basic human right for all. Ours is really to see through the intention and the goal that the president has recently set last month and earlier this year in ensuring that every child can read for meaning by the age of 10. And it's incredible to see young South Africans like Michelle, who by the age of 10 have written 3 books. I mean, if we think about the first book, Waiting for the Waves.
As a 6-year-old, that's incredible.
As a 6-year-old, it's absolutely incredible that all it took was a trip, a seaside trip with the family, and translating that into some imaginative world as to what that actually meant for her, and being able to communicate that in a form that reaches other children. And so ours is really to motivate, inspire, galvanize South Africans to get behind this, because we really believe that this is part of our legacy as our generation for the future.
Yeah. And Michelle, coming back to you, how did you think of putting all this experience into books? Like, what inspiration did you get?
I thought that children had a story of their own, but they didn't know how to put it out to the world. So I thought I would make a very good first example to help them to know that they can do it, they can overcome, and they can do very overcoming things at a very delicate young age.
Wow, that's incredible. And how important is it, do you think, for young people, for children, to just tap into the imagination and find a world of things that they can put into books?
Well, like me, they can firstly start with what they experience in life. Then they'll get used to it. Then they will start getting to know how to create fictional stories, or they can carry on with non-fictional stories.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think writing books has helped you read for understanding? I mean, are you in grade 4?
Grade 5.
Grade 5. So when it comes to reading and really understanding exactly what you're reading, do you think that writing books has helped you?
Yes, I do think that it has helped me to get this far, because as I say, if you can read, you can write, and if you never stop believing, you will always keep dreaming.
Wow, that's so sweet. Chebet, just looking at the expansion of this program, how accessible is it, and how many lives are you hoping to touch and change and shape?
Let me just say, I'm absolutely impressed. I mean, I'm listening to Michelle speak and I'm asking myself, what was I doing at the age of 10? Like, it's beautiful.
It
I'm
really
just blown away. And I think we should take a moment to recognize the role that the parent and the caregiver plays at home, because it really starts at that point, and the foundational learning is really, I guess, incubated at that level, and then we hand it over to teachers and educators to then carry it forward. But coming back to your question, what we've seen, or what we've come to understand from the data analysis, and even just speaking to a number of our local implementation partners like Nali Bali and Fundewande, and of course in conjunction with the Department of Basic Education, is that we are looking to expand the early grade learning and reading resources nationwide. And so at this point, what that looks like is that our reach is at a national level, and the intention is that by 2030, that we would have attained the president's goal, really, of ensuring that every child by the age of 10 is really able to read. This is important for us because, read for meaning rather, not just read alone.
Yeah.
This is important for us because if we think about the direct correlation that we have between being able to read for understanding, being able to take that basic literacy and numeracy later on in life, the translation really is the production of human capital and how we can expect it to impact unemployment levels down the line. And if we are nurturing more Michelles in South Africa, and we are cultivating a nation where really all children have been encouraged to read and motivated from their homes, but even at school through their teachers,